Welcome back. More than a dozen people detained in Istanbul, just miles from the site of this past week's deadly airport bombing, as authorities determine a Chechen man who trains Russian-speaking members of ISIS coordinated the attack. Here in the U.S., the feds ramping up securities at airports across the country, where an estimated 3 million people are traveling this holiday weekend. Senator Ron Johnson is with us. He is the chairman of the Committee on Homeland Security and Government Affairs. Senator, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Maria.
So let me kick it off right there, because here we are in the middle of a holiday weekend, lots of people traveling, and they are afraid of terrorism. How significant a threat is terrorism on the homeland, from your standpoint?
It's a real and growing threat. Let's face it, I'm sick of it personally. I mean, I really do want all my fellow citizens to really understand how many of our freedoms have already been taken away because of Islamic terrorists. I realize people say we're war weary. I don't like this reality. I don't like the fact that Islamic terrorists declared war on the civilized world a couple decades ago. But it's a reality we have to face, and because we have not faced it, because we have not accomplished the goal that President Obama stated for our country 22 months ago, degrade and defeat ISIS, ISIS continues to exist. They are continuing to train the foreign fighters, and I think that's what we probably just saw in Turkey. Probably had some foreign fighters trained. Now ISIS is not only inspiring the attacks like they did in Orlando, like they did in San Bernardino, but they directed the attack, looks like in Brussels, and now looks like in Turkey as well. So we are vulnerable, and the solution to this problem, and it's a tough solution, it's not going to happen anytime soon, is we have to commit ourselves to destroying ISIS and Islamic terror where it resides, wherever it's taken up safe haven. And while we're doing that, we're going to have to harden our own defenses. I'm a big supporter of additional K-9 units in airports. We're probably going to have more security presence outside the security zones in the airports. For this weekend, American passengers have got to be vigilant. Yeah. If you see something, you have to say something. Don't let political correctness dissuade you from contacting authorities.
Well, you make a lot of good points there, Senator, and I think the American people are with you, and they are afraid. You look at recent polls, this is their #1 issue right now. I want to ask you about what we should expect at airports, et cetera, and how things might change. But let me stay on this issue of terrorism and the Islamic State for a moment, because a lot of debate about what we should be doing in order to stop these terrorists where they live and where they are. In your judgment, what should be done on a federal level for the U.S. right now to actually appear stronger and that we actually are in control in terms of this fight to take them down?
Well, let me start with the analogy I've been using. You've got a beehive of killer bees in your backyard. Now, you can go out and poke it with a stick, but all you're going to really do is stir up the hive. You're going to maybe damage the hive, but bees are going to escape. They're going to create other hives. They're going to become more and more dangerous, and that's in effect what we've been doing with ISIS. What we should be doing is you got to take out the hive. You got to kill all the bees, and we haven't done that. So what President Obama should have done, what he needs to do, is he really has to assemble a committed coalition of the willing of the civilized world, and we must be tenacious. We have to be relentless in destroying ISIS, but also taking a look at Islamic terror groups wherever they reside on the planet and destroy them. But we haven't done that. The first President Bush really created the model. In the first Gulf War, America supplied probably about less than 500,000 troops. Our coalition partners supplied almost 250,000 troops and paid for about 85% of the effort. That was a committed international coalition of the willing, civilized world, and that's what we should be doing here. Now, I realize it's not the easy thing to do. If America leads too much, people sit back and they don't join the fight. If we don't lead enough, which is, I think, exactly what's happening now, they also don't join the fight. So we got to get it right, but we have to show far greater leadership and commitment to achieving the goal, and I just have not seen that out of this administration.
And we know that Donald Trump has basically been running on this whole theory. That's part of his campaign. What about Secretary Clinton? Do you think she will be tougher on ISIS than the president has been?
I really can't evaluate either of those individuals in terms of what they're going to do. All I can do is, again, lay out the reality. President Obama laid out that goal for America 22 months ago. We had Brent McGurk, who is a really good person, a great person really heading this effort in Foreign Relations Committee hearing. He said, they had a 3-year game plan Well, we're 22 months into that. We have 14 months to go. We're not going to defeat ISIS under this administration in 14 months. So we actually have to be serious about accomplishing that goal. Hopefully our next commander-in-chief, whoever that person may be, will become serious about achieving that goal.
You know, John Brennan, the head of the CIA, has been very blunt recently, basically saying, yes, ISIS will attack the United States. Expect it. What should we be doing and knowing if, in fact, we were to see something like that, God forbid, on the homeland? In terms of changes to airport security, what might we expect?
Well, let me quick comment what CIA Director Brennan said in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee. He said that, you know, all of our efforts have not reduced ISIS's terrorism capability and global reach, and they remain a potent, resilient, and largely cohesive.
Wow.
That's pretty depressing after 22 months. So, again, what we need to do with the airports is we've got to beef up security outside the security zones. I don't see extending that perimeter is going to do much. You're always going to have that pinch zone. So you've got to increase security. I know DHS is increasing training to local law enforcement and the airport officials that have responsibility for security of those zones. We're going to have to beef it up. And, again, I'm a big supporter of additional canine units. There's no technology that can beat the nose of a dog. So we've maybe got about 1,000 canine units right now engaged in transportation. We need to triple, quadruple, or quintuple those numbers. It's going to take some time. It's going to cost some money. But again, this threat is not going away anytime soon, not with President Obama at the helm, and no matter who is. This is not a short-term goal here. I mean, we're going to have to be dealing with Islamic terror for years and years to come, but right. We better start now.
Real quick, do you think there are ISIS fighters in America right now waiting for a directive?
Well, we've certainly seen people, lone wolves, that have been inspired by ISIS. I don't have any credible evidence of a specific threat, but I tell you what, I'm highly concerned. In my committee, we've held 18 hearings on a lack of border security on the southern border. So, you know, of all the dangers we have, refugees, visa waiver program, I am primarily concerned of ISIS operatives being able to come through our very porous southern border. So let's start securing that. This administration has not been serious about securing our southern border either.
You make a really important point there, Senator. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Have a good day.
We will see you soon, Senator.